I'm so excited to introduce you to one of my friends and a ministry leader here in Canada. I Am Second. It's a global organization whose ministry is to creatively share testimonies about God. And today we'll meet Shawn Jones. He's the strategy coordinator for I Am Second Canada. This is kind of a new role. And he has his own incredible story that we're going to hear right after this. Well, it's my privilege to introduce you to Shawn Jones, the I Am Second Canada strategy coordinator. Welcome to 700 Club Canada, Shawn.
Hi, Laurie. So good to be here. Nice to see you again. And we're very honored to be able to be here and share with you guys today.
Well, I just know our viewers are going to be moved by your story and, of course, what you're doing, what God's doing in your life now. But let's go back, because here you are, raised in South Africa in a troubled home. You're playing, semi-professional sports. You find yourself in Dubai playing basketball, and you're bartending on the side, right, in one of those luxurious hotels, and you meet your wife. Take us back to what your life was like before you put your faith in God.
Yes, absolutely. I was very much a guy living for myself, living for recognition in the world, and trying to be more than what my parents ever were. And so when you're in a position like this without God in your life, you strive for. You just strive for all the things that that you shouldn't. I wanted the benefits of a professional career, the luxuries of what that comes with, and just always had an emptiness, and always found myself taking one step forward, three steps behind. And it was difficult chasing after a dream that I thought was for me, but God had a different plan for me and for my life.
Yeah. And you find yourself in this desperate place, like you think you're going after all the world has to offer. But here you are in this desperate place. You're all alone. You're now separated from your family. What happened that caused you to surrender?
Well, yes. I'll go back a few steps just to clue the viewers in. So after meeting my beautiful wife in Dubai, she was a singer in a band, and I was playing basketball, and as you said, working in a five-star hotel in a bar in the nightclub downstairs. And we fell in love. We spent 6 months together, decided to relocate, and for me to go back to South Africa, and my wife would join me 6 months afterwards, my girlfriend at the time. Well, she came into South Africa. Our love story continued. We got married, and she fell pregnant very soon after the wedding. And after a mess up with our paperwork, in South Africa, a mistake on the part of the South African Home Affairs, my wife ended up actually being illegal in the country for almost 2 years. And when this finally caught up to us, we were devastated because, she was actually deported and sent back to Canada and separated from myself and from the child.
Yeah, that must have been devastating. I mean, here you are. Did you have any faith in God at that point at all? Was it just all about you, Shawn, how you could solve problems? Like, where were you? Where were you at faith? And
I was very much trying to solve the problem myself. We had started going to church. I would say she was more into God than I was. I was sort of just going to, to tick the box and to please her, and I think more than anything else. But this would really take me on this journey to find God and really to set me free. In this very dark time in my life, being separated from my wife, I cried out to God, in a moment of absolute weakness. And I really felt like I just could not, I had nowhere else to turn. It had been almost 10 months. At this point, my child was reunited with my wife, but they were both in Canada now. And I was separated from them and living in South Africa on my own.
wow.
And approximately 10 months into this ordeal, I just cried out to God and asked him if he was real, that he needs to reveal himself because I just didn't want to live anymore without my family,
Yeah.
and that's where I found myself.
Well, I think a lot of people, it takes something to get us to the point of surrender, right? And that
Absolutely.
breaking point, and yet so often we're stubborn to not give in to what, God wants to do good things in our life. Like, what was holding you back, do you think, from surrendering to God?
You know, at this time, I still didn't have an intimate relationship with God. And I think the thing that held me back was really um, not really understanding that it's a relationship with God. Before I really got to my lowest point, I think I really wrestled with a lot of stuff, things like unforgiveness and, things that would hold me back in my faith journey.
Yeah.
But, when you cry to God, it's the perfect opportunity for him to respond and, to really answer your prayer. And he did this. He did this through a complete stranger who rocked up on my brother's doorstep and offered to pray with me and fast with me. And I didn't
Wow.
even know what fasting was, to be honest. And after he explained it, I agreed to it. I really did pray and ask God to show himself. And I was prepared to give God every chance possible to really show himself. So,
Wow.
we went into this agreement. I said I'd fast for a week, and I want to hear some answers from God, and God did. He exactly a week later, on the day that we finished the fasting, it was a Sunday when we finished fasting, and I didn't really have a breakthrough or a big aha moment, and no phone call to tell me the problem's been resolved. But then the Monday morning, I had a call from our South African Home Affairs, and somebody had called me to tell me that they would like to help me to resolve this problem.
Wow.
And I got to tell you, I was just blown away. I was actually frightened because I realized, oh my word, God is real, and
Great.
he's answered my prayer. And it was not long after that, my family and I were reunited in South Africa.
I'm just blown away that this stranger comes up to your door. You don't even know this guy. And he's like, we're going to pray and fast. You know what I mean? We're not going to pussyfoot around here. Like, talk
Yeah.
about courage for someone to say, come on, we're going to trust God.
Yes. I was so blown away by this guy. I did not know who he was. I lived in a very sort of isolated piece of the neighborhood and with 10 houses on my street and nobody else for kilometers. And I thought he was one of the people living in one of the houses. And I tried to find him afterwards to thank him for what he did. And just so it goes that nobody knew the guy that I was talking about because I was giving a description of what he looked like and nobody knew who he was. So,
Wow.
to this day, I wonder if he wasn't just, in actual fact, an angel.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
truly, angel or not, God really answered my prayer in
Yeah.
that moment, and
Yeah.
I just decided to serve Him and dedicate my life to Him ever
Yeah.
since.
Wonderful. Well, you know what? God wants to intervene in your life too. We'll be right back with Shawn Jones and more in his role with I Am Second.